What's going on, guys? Patrick here. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be talking to Josiah from the DigiByte Foundation and just finding out more about what's going on with the DigiByte team, talking to Josiah about DigiByte, learning more about one of what I think is the coolest blockchain projects out there. So welcome. What's going on, Josiah?
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. It's great. It's great to be here.
No worries. You're the first person on the first interview webcam YouTube show. So welcome. You're the test dummy.
Thanks.
Tell the viewers or tell the people out there who you are and kind of what your story is. Kind of just a brief introduction.
So my name is Josiah. I'm from New Zealand, and I got into DigiByte back in 2014. Started mining it a little bit. Recently, they've got me on the foundation as an ambassador.
Why did you get into cryptocurrency, and why did DigiByte kind of spark your interest?
I got into that back in 2013. Now I think it was. I was looking at Bitcoin mining, and I managed to scrape together some money, get myself a couple of AMD. What were they, like R9 290Xs? Way back in the day now. That was cool. That was a really great introduction. The problem was I had basically done that right as the ASICs hit the market, and so it was terrible timing for me. So I started on Litecoin. I thought, this looks interesting, but I was kind of browsing around through the Bitcoin talk forums, and I came across DigiByte, and it sparked my interest. It's just everything from how it was launched back at the time, which was quite crucial compared to the ICOs and things that you have today. Very different. And immediately you could see the drive behind that and things, to be something better, to be something more than just maybe Dogecoin, all the meme coins and stuff that were coming out at the time.
I think a lot of people don't understand what the difference between kind of a token is, what the difference between kind of a pre-mined ICO compared to DigiByte.
Yeah, it's funny as well. We get asked that a lot. People say, "Where's your white paper? Where's..." I want to go and I want to read about what it is that you're going to make, and it's different. We've already got a fully working blockchain, a fully working product. There's no need for us to try and go out and raise $100 million on a pipe dream. We have a standalone blockchain that doesn't rely on, say, Etherum, for example, like you get with many of the other ICOs and things. So DigiByte is a fully standalone, independent blockchain that is out there. It's working. There's real world applications already. We've got things like Sign, which is built on top of the DigiByte blockchain, which is really cool. And so we're not just selling hopes and dreams here. We've actually got a product, and it is working. And the difference, I guess, between pre-mine. So back in the day, pre-mining was a huge thing. It would kind of make and break certain blockchains, because you had to have some kind of, I suppose, an incentive for people to work on it and to develop it. But at the same time, people would come out, and I still remember seeing a blockchain that had like 10% pre-mined, and it was being hammered left, right, and center. People are going, "There's no point in this, 10% pre-mine. It's just a, a get rich quick scheme sort of thing for the creator." And you look at it now with all of these ICOs and things, which are effectively 100% pre-mined. They're centrally distributing all of their tokens and their coins, as it were, 100%, and people are still buying into that. So it's been a really interesting shift the last couple of years.
There's so much on the market, and I think the white paper is a really good example, because every day there's a new white paper, there's a new ICO. The big thing to think about here is DigiByte's been around for 4 years. That was before white papers really even. You had a couple of white papers, but it wasn't a thing where people were just constantly marketing new coins and trying to sell them to people.
Yeah, for sure. And so back in the day, I mean, obviously, Bitcoin has a white paper, and that's cool and all. But a lot of the other coins that were coming out at the time didn't have anything. They would build their vision and actually get out and code it and develop it before taking it to anybody to go, "Hey, we think this could be a good idea." It wasn't. I mean, because you've got all of the coins and things. ICOs are basically the Kickstarter of 2017, It's a case of, we've got a great idea for a product, but we can't quite finish it yet, so we need your money.
You have a company that can raise, $50 million, but what's the promise after that? Hey, I can ICO, but, is there really any, mandatory promise? They don't have to do anything after that point. It's basically we sell the tokens, and then they can just stop.
They've got your money. There's no. I mean, you're basically relying on their what's the word, on their honor and integrity, and that they're going to do what they're going to say they do. But if you look at Kickstarter and things, and things fail all the time, and so yeah, it's a tough one. It's cool basically having something that is a working product. So we're not selling the pipe dream. It's real, and people buy into DigiByte. They're basically getting a slice of a proper blockchain.
That leads me to another great question I think a lot of people have. They don't really understand the idea. So I'm not always trying to talk about Ripple, but it's a good example because
I'm surprised you're still alive today after your video yesterday, man.
I've got some hate mail for sure. Trust me, people out there are not happy. Explain to people the difference between a public blockchain like DigiByte, where where it's open source, there's people working on it. Compare that to a centralized, Ripple's kind of situation where it's literally just a company that says, hey, yeah, we're managing it all. It's our deal. You guys can buy into it, but you don't get to be a part of it.
With DigiByte, anybody can come along and contribute to the code. And in fact, the latest wallet that we've got, which is currently in beta, is being headed up by a particular gentleman and his company. They're basically putting in some serious development hours, and I guess now's probably a really good opportunity for me to say thanks to them for doing that. They've been instrumental to making that come around, sort of thing. Anybody can come along and contribute to DigiByte. If you've got an idea, if you happen to find maybe a bug in one of the wallets, and you go, oh, I feel like we could shift this over a little bit here and realign things, you can do that on DigiByte, and that's cool. You can contribute. Whereas with Ripple, you are buying the product, and that's it. You're buying their XRP token, and you have no say in anything else. Nothing. So a really good example of that, we've got the later on in the year, we're going to be doing an algo swap to allow greater decentralization through GPU mining. So right now we've got our 5 algorithms for mining DigiByte, and we want to replace some of them. So people hear hard fork and they immediately think, right, I'm gonna double my money in things. It's like Bitcoin and then Bitcoin Cash. In this particular hard fork, it's more of a directional shift for everybody, and so we're all going to be going in the same unified direction. So there's not going to be any split or anything like that, but we are going to replace some of the algorithms. And so as part of this, we're going to be taking on feedback, from the community to what sort of algorithms are going to be best effective for GPU mining. And so when it comes time to actually then implement that, again, people from the community can come along and help out, contribute the code, and yeah, it's totally different kind of ethos, I suppose, compared to XRP tokens and things like that.
I like it because we're rolling right now. We're just rolling into it. The next question I think a lot of people ask is, DigiByte is dead, or DigiByte, there's nobody working on DigiByte. I mean, that's always a concern about anything, but it's funny because I started to getting, more into the Telegram, and just last night I was actually on the developer Telegram. You were on there, a couple of people were on there, and we were talking about the iOS app, talking about the new Exodus, working on that. So there seems to be, a solid team of people. There's a really enthusiastic team. Like you said, the guys working on the iOS app, I was there, saying, hey, I downloaded the beta. I was using it. This is my issue. And they were like, hey, let me help you out. And they actually were working with me. I think it was like midnight, and we were all talking about it. So
yeah, the guys they're very cool. It's been great to be able to get to know some of the developers, and to, yeah, like you say, you jump into the DigiByte developers chat. I've got that open now. There's like 1,300 people in there. But in saying that, if you've got a problem, there's still a really good chance that you'll actually get a developer to respond to your issue. So we've also got the tech support channel and things, and that's cool. But again, we're talking about like the beta of iOS. If you've got a suggestion, yeah, the guys are in there, and they're absolutely awesome with listening to the feedback and taking it on board. And I don't know how they get through the day, because they're always in there, and they're still just churning out builds almost every single day at the moment. It's really cool to see. And Exodus as well. I mean, if DigiByte was, like they say, dead, you see that sometimes in Reddit or online certain forums and things like that. But why would Exodus be now trying to implement DigiByte if it was dead? So we've got the 5 wallets coming out. There's Windows, Linux, OS X, iOS, and Android, and they should all be out, pretty soon. So it's it's really hard because, like you say, not everybody sees in the DigiByte Telegram channel. They don't see the development going on, the daily releases, all of the translation work that's been going on. I think they've translated like a dozen different languages or something for it. It's really awesome.
I talked to a couple other guys at the DigiByte Foundation and stuff. The very common, I think, philosophy is, we're not here to pump the coin up overnight. We're not making claims. We don't need to, put out press releases that we have possible partnerships with companies that have never heard of us, and which seems like a very common problem right now in the, in the crypto world. I mean, I think everybody does, really, because there's a lot of just claims right now, and it makes no sense why they would do that. But I mean, I get it. They want to cash in. They want to pump the price up. People get excited.
Yeah, and that's the thing is there's obviously a lot of hype, and so you were around when McAfee did his tweet, yeah?
Yeah, I actually bought in right before that. I was really excited that happened, but then it, you know how that went.
Yeah, well, I watched the charts. I was actually up at 3 o'clock in the morning for whatever reason in New Zealand time, right as everything started to happen, and I'm watching this, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? Then 10 minutes later, someone's on the Telegram going, hey, this is cool. We've got, John McAfee's talking about us. I'm like, that's nice, because I know that he'd been talking with some of the other foundation members and things for probably like a month or two beforehand and stuff. So it wasn't like an out of the blue, like, hey, we've gone and tried to get him to pump the price or anything like that. Quite the opposite. It's as far as the foundation is concerned, we would rather a long-term sustainable growth, because that contributes to the security of the blockchain. And so the security specifically through the mining, the distribution of wallets and things like that that's core for us. So we're not here for people to come along and overnight try and make themselves $1 million on the price tripling instantly and then going back down. Like, if people can do that, that's cool, whatever. If you're a day trader, no problems. But that's not the market that we are trying to cater with. And so I know that we ostracize or upset some people a little bit sometimes, but we're here for the long game. We've been here for 4 years already, and so we've seen coins come and go and disappear, blockchains start up and get destroyed because they don't have that same kind of vision, I suppose. Yeah, so we're in it for the long haul. Yeah.
Number one question. When is the moon? Come on, baby. Tell me that day. I want to know the exact time, the place, all that, so that I'm prepared. So let me know if you ever find out when the moon's going to happen. Just let me know. Yeah,
well, we get people jumping on. So we've recently announced a PR agency, and that's been super cool. But we have people that are saying to us, well, why are you not going to be pursuing social media and things? And I look at it and I just think, man, we have enough people joining on the Telegram channels going, when moon, guys, I want to get a red Lambo. My Lambo's going to be red because red's fast. It's like, I really don't think that us doing like a Facebook ad, for example, is going to go and spread the word in quite the way that is in line with the DigiByte ethos and the long-term sustainable goal. It's a tough one, but I'm super excited to see this agency and what happens from it as well.
Kind of looking through I actually tweeted about this interview a couple days ago, asked some people if they had any questions they want answered, and one of the questions was, what are the pros and cons of DigiByte having such a high supply? Wouldn't this be easier to have a really small supply and jack the price up really high?
Yeah, if you are concerned about the price, like if that's your number one thing, then yeah, obviously that's a really, really good question. But if you're concerned about, like, it's funny because I've seen people on their YouTube videos and things go around and they'll talk and they'll say, I really like Bitcoin, but I really hate sending 0.001 to a mate of mine to pay for pizza, because of the fact there is such a limited supply of Bitcoin and things like that. And so it's as crazy as it sounds. Like I've got my cousin to start mining, and he's going, I don't want to go and mine Zcash. I want to mine myself some Dogecoin. I want to mine myself some DigiByte specifically, I mean, Doge's script, so he can't mine that on his graphics card, but he's like, I want to mine DigiByte because I like seeing my wallet tick up, and I like seeing that I have 10 DigiByte instead of 0.05 of a Zcash, for example, stuff like that. So other than that, the advantages of having such a large supply are that it's more manageable in terms of if you're dividing it to 8 places. Like, so uh, if you divide a Bitcoin to 8 decimal places, and let's say Bitcoin becomes worth 100 grand one day, right? There's not a lot of ways you can split that after those 8 decimal places. So if you have something that's a lot more manageable, you can get a lot better and more precise in terms of your money, and things like that.
I think it's cool to see that there is, it's not a massive supply. I mean, what is it? 21 billion will be the
Yeah,
total
like
cap.
XRP is 5 times that, but I guess even at 21
Yeah.
billion though, it's more, I suppose, than just about the currency side of it. So every time, if you, how familiar are you with the DigiSign and what that does? Have you seen that?
I've seen it. I just haven't done much research. There's not a ton of information out there.
Say I go and I make a will. Basically, I take that document and I run it through a hashing algorithm, and so I get a long string of numbers that's maybe like, let's say, 50 characters long. And I then save that into the blockchain through DigiSign. And so what DigiSign allows me to do is, let's say I get run over by a bus tomorrow. My wife can then take that will and again run it through DigiSign and basically compare it and go, yes, this is a true and accurate representation. This is exactly what was signed by him, and this is what he wanted, and this is letter for letter, and nothing has changed. It is a perfect representation of his will as of yesterday, and or a year ago. You can go back because it is secured in the blockchain. You pay a small fee to the miners, and they incorporate that extra bit of data into the blockchain. Now, by having 21 billion, it means that we can get a lot more of a precise control over how much you then pay as part of your fee to the miners and to everybody to keep that in their wallet going forwards. So you could pay, for example, a 100th of a cent for a byte of data rather than 1 cent for every single byte of data, for example. Just so it allows for a more fine-grained control. And when you're talking about things like going and buying a cup of coffee, it doesn't matter if you pay, say, $3.99 or $4. But when you're talking about every single byte of data that is put into the blockchain, counting and costing to be a lot more accurate on that is pretty cool.
There was a question the other day if somebody asked, what's the point of DigiByte? What's it really for? What's it going to be used for? And I mean, my response is, that I think DigiByte's really the peer-to-peer transfer, cash, really when it comes down to it. I could see myself, in the future buying everything with DigiByte because it's so fast, so simple. I think that's a lot of people don't understand is the transaction speed is a huge thing. If I go to a store and I want to buy something, no one's going to wait 20 minutes for confirmation.
And especially if you're talking like, I mean, I know that the Bitcoin fees have come down a lot lately, but let's say you want to go and you want to buy yourself a pair of jeans. You go into the store, and if you've got to wait 10 minutes for your first confirmation, that's crazy, man. So I've seen videos of people basically sending like 1 million DigiByte or whatever, and they can send that, and it'll cost them a 100th of a US cent, roughly, to send like 1 million DigiByte. Like it's instant. There's no waiting around. It's so funny as well because you talk to people who are really big on let's say Litecoin, for example, and Litecoin's cool, don't get me wrong. The 2.5 minute block timing is great. It's 4 times faster than Bitcoin, but we're 40 times faster than Bitcoin. And so now we're in a completely different league, and it is incredible the difference.
I was a big fan of Litecoin back in early November, and I loved the idea of Litecoin because I told people, hey, Litecoin's really going to answer a lot of questions. That was before I really knew about DigiByte. So learning about DigiByte was like, oh, this is the Litecoin that I was really looking for in November. I think there's plenty of room for having, 5, 6 great cryptocurrencies, having Litecoin, having Bitcoin, having DigiByte, and the same way that there's Visa, there's MasterCard, there's American Express. They all can have their own strengths, but I don't, I think at the end of the day, it's not like, hey, DigiByte's going to take over the world and there only needs to be DigiByte. It really comes down to just having, good coins for people to use and transactions.
Yeah, and it's an interesting comment there about there being like so DigiByte's not out to replace everybody and replace everything. Like there are some other coins and they have their place and they have their uses and things. But when you start looking at there are certain types of coins and certain types of blockchains and certain types of tokens and things like that. We start looking at them and we're going like, this is really cool. Like this is great that you're doing, let's say like a 60-second block time. There was a coin that's been launched recently that I saw, which was only like a month old or something, and they're doing 60-second block timings, and they're going, this is the greatest ever. Like, yeah, that's cool and all. You're using one algorithm, and you have 60-second block timings. Like, I feel like if I were to be using that kind of thing, I would be intentionally hamstringing myself because I know about DigiByte. I know that we've got a 15-second timing. I know that we have 5 mining algorithms for greater security and things. So I kind of, on a personal level, I look at that and I go, what's the point?
I might not be exactly right here, but I think in the past, 2 years ago, the transaction speeds were a minute or whatever, and Jared, the team, basically, there was a fork or something happened where that's how they got down to 15 seconds, correct?
Yeah, so DigiSpeed basically went from 30 seconds down to 15.
So that kind of shows the power of how, DigiByte can be improved. It's not, a finished product by any means. It's not like, hey, this is it. This is all you get.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's been a number of these forks, and so I talk about forks, and often people will, number one, they'll panic and they'll go, oh, there's a problem, like the Ethereum and Ethereum Classic fork, for example. They go, oh, there's a problem. No, there's no problem. It's cool. This fork is literally just we're redirecting everybody. It's not like a problem here or anything like that. We are simply improving on it, and so we're putting a stake in the sand and we're saying, as of this particular block, we're no longer doing 30-second block timings, we're now doing 15-second block timings. So be ready because things are about to get a whole lot faster. Literally, we're going to double the speed.
So that improves the block speed, and then I think the transaction speed. So a lot of people talk about, hey, this coin does this much transaction speed, and that's all they can do. There's no scalability. I think you want to explain kind of the scalability for transaction speed for DigiByte going into the future?
Yeah, so we've had 4 different major hard forks, and one of them was basically around the transaction speed and the increasing of the block size. So those are the 2 things that contribute to, if you look at, let's take Bitcoin, for example, they say they can do about 7 per second, but in reality, when you look at the statistics, it ends up being around about 4. But so let's be generous to them and let's say they can do 7. So that's a combination of the amount of data that can fit in their 1 megabyte blocks and the fact that it takes 10 minutes per block. So with DigiByte, you take our block size and you take the fact that we are 15 seconds, and that's how we reach our 280 and then 560 and then 1,000 transactions per second, because every couple of years the block size will double, and so it will increase, which will allow for greater scalability, which means that we're going to be able to handle more transactions, we're going to handle more documents being signed into the blockchain, we're going to be able to handle everything. And so it's really cool to see this technology scaling DigiByte basically. So we're not stuck with what we are at right now, and so it is going to improve obviously and get better too.
I'm kind of reading through here, seeing some of these questions. I mean, a lot of the questions obviously are, when is the moon? But I think the community, there was a big, even on Reddit, talking about Binance. Can you talk about what's going on? I think there's some issues with Binance, and kind of people are like, why is DigiByte not on Binance?
So Binance is cool. They're doing their own thing. They're a massive exchange, but obviously they can't list every single like ICO and things. And so you look at their application paper, and it's heavily geared towards ICOs because obviously they're the big thing of 2017, and ICOs all wanted to be listed on there. And so as part of this, they basically say you can go through and try and win our coin of the month and get submitted on that way, or you can also go and try and include some additional funds that would go towards Binance to incentivize us to list you. and that might kind of move you up the pile a little bit. I don't know exactly how much that is or whatever you can offer them, 1 DigiByte maybe, whatever. But on top of this, there's a few other bits and pieces as well. Like they wanted a what was it? It was like a non-disclosure agreement, I think, to be signed. Yeah, but the problem is so like the NDA for starters is more geared towards a company, but we are a open source blockchain, and so there's no, like, aside from the foundation which is being incorporated, there's no company behind us. There's no, like, we don't have the CEO, we don't have this, we don't have that, and so it's very different. It's not directly applicable to us. But on top of this as well, as far as I'm aware, there's also no terms of service for Binance as well, which of all of the, if you have a look, we've been doing exchanges over the last sort of 3 weeks on Twitter and things like that. Every single one of those has a terms of service that is used to protect their users and make sure that there is a way to resolve disputes and that they've got a jurisdiction that they belong to and things like that. And so the terms of service for us was quite important for everything that we put onto Twitter. Every single one of them had a terms of service. It's my understanding that Binance doesn't, and so again, it's a little bit of yeah. And so basically everything all adds up, and we're kind of looking at it going, well, if we were to raise some decent money, we're probably looking at, like 2 million DigiByte we'd need to raise. The community were cool. They rallied behind the PR agency and things like that, but even then, it would require 10 times that amount of donations basically to give us a really good shot, I suppose, at getting listed on Binance. So, who knows? I'm not ruling it out, obviously, myself. I know that there are still members in the community and things that are helping us and working alongside us. So we might one day get listed there. Who knows? But as of right now, I believe that that's what's kind of holding us up. So, we'll see how it goes.
I mean, like I personally, Binance is cool, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's gonna be. It would be great to be on there, but I don't think it's gonna be, anything massive in terms of, hey, oh my God, it's on Binance now, it's worth $5. So
yeah, like you say, that seems to be the ulterior motive, is let's get listed on Binance because I want my 100 DigiByte to be worth $1 million, and I want to go buy a Lambo. So yeah, there's more important things, I suppose, right now that the team are focusing on. So it might happen. We'll see.
now you said something about Coinbase, and obviously I've got to touch on that because everybody always wants to know about Coinbase. As I think Coinbase obviously reaches a much larger market than Binance really does, just in terms of the market share, and not even really much the volume, but I mean obviously people in America have Coinbase, and everybody I know, they buy everything on Coinbase. So for them to get on, for DigiByte to get on Coinbase, it wouldn't be so much just, hey, it's amazing that it's on there, but I think it would be just a really cool tool for people to be able to exchange US dollars for DigiByte.
Yeah, Coinbase would be cool as well, like, because the number one question I get asked, because obviously I'm quite vocal around my peers about what it is that I do, specifically with my mining and things, and the fact that I sold my house to buy all of my mining equipment and things like that. So the number one thing that people ask me is they'll say, this is cool. How do I get DigiByte? I wanna jump on the train for a little bit. Let's go and try and use it. I want to buy stuff. I want to sell stuff with it. And so the easier it is to get, and the more that we lower that barrier to entry, I suppose, is going to be great for the mass adoption and for more people to be able to use it and enjoy the benefits of it and things like that.
I agree. I mean, really, it comes down to the barrier of entry. When it comes down to it, they're not going to go and go out of their way, really. It's like, it's got to be easy for somebody who's not a believer, somebody who just wants to use it. And, there's a lot of people out there that aren't really technical, and they just want to, hit a button, buy it, sell it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and so it's easier if you can just pop your credit card in and go, right, I want to go, and I want to, depending on if the price fluctuates, whatever, if I swipe my card, I go, right, this is going to get me 85 DigiByte today, whereas yesterday it might have got me 87, but price has gone up a little bit, and so, but that kind of, that lowering of the barrier to entry long term is going to be a real interesting one for getting more people on board, more people to be able to use it, and things like that.
Another cool question I saw on Twitter was people were asking about, how do we get more developers on the team, or how do you get more developers that are excited about DigiByte?
We need more developers. The developers that we've got right now are amazing, and if you look at the work and things that they've been doing, I know that you've recently joined the developers Telegram and stuff, but you'll see them on there, and the guys are great. Like, we have a number of people who are working full time on DigiByte. Some of them want to remain anonymous and stuff. That's totally cool, but we need more developers to be able to help us, obviously, with things like the upcoming algorithm swap that we've got, and we want to do a whole lot more really cool stuff around the wallets and implementing other security things like DigiID into the wallets and stuff like that. So how do we get more developers? I don't know about that. That's the million Satoshi question, really.
Obviously we've had this just huge influx of ICOs, new coins, all this stuff going on. So I think it's kind of just a survival of the fittest thing. So, over time, a lot of these other coins that are going to fall to the wayside, you're going to have coins like DigiByte that have been consistently moving forward for 4 years now. Developers are going to see that and be like, hey, I spent all this time on so-and-so coin. It's totally worthless now, and now I'm like, maybe I'll go be a part of this because they're actually, there's a history there and these guys are moving forward and I want to be a part of something instead of wasting my time on another pump and dump.
Yeah, and so hopefully people can kind of see that as well, that we've been around now for just over 4 years. And so it's been really interesting that you touched on that as well, because there have been some predictions, obviously, that certain coins are going to start falling by the wayside a lot more in 2018, and like we see with the ICOs, every man and his dog is doing an ICO right now, and so it's very difficult to take them seriously. And so I'm hoping that the brand and the image that DigiByte portrays is that, yeah, we've been around for 4 years, we know what's up, we're in this for the long haul, we're not about to up and disappear, and hey, look, we've got these cool wallets that we've all just done, so we're really serious about this, we're in it for the long run, we've tried to make these wallets easier to use, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see 2018 shake out, really.
There has been some fallout about the new PR firm. People are kind of confused. Hey, I'm all for new ideas. I think I looked at some of Tom's stuff. I think a good look at it or whatever, and I think there's a great possibility there. But a lot of people are like, hey, why did you guys hire a fashion designer PR firm?
Yeah, I've especially on Reddit, so I'm quite active on the DigiByte subreddit, and I've seen that a lot. So there are some people there's some interesting sides to both arguments, is probably the best way to put it. And so we're definitely not your traditional sort of ICO. We don't specifically need somebody, like I said before, who's going to come along and just go, cool guys, we'll sign you up, and here's a really cool Facebook ad run that you can put in and do. Because we'll basically get people joining, like you say, they're going win moon, win Lambo, like you said on your Twitter replies and stuff like that. Like it happens. They're not specifically the target market that we want. We want people that are interested in DigiByte for more than just like a quick buck, really. And so if we've got a PR agency and a marketing manager that's going to come along and help that side of things, as far as we're concerned, I don't think it really matters if he's done fashion in the past or if he's done blockchain in the past. I mean, obviously blockchain's still very, very new, and the number of people that you can go to out there who would actually understand it and be able to then subsequently on-sell it is slim pickings anyway. So, Tom's obviously got some context and things like that, and looking through his resume has been, pretty encouraging to see. So we'll watch this space. I mean, I guess the proof is going to be in the pudding. Is probably the best way to describe this. It's we've done there. We've got the first step. We've got somebody on board, and so we're obviously, this is part of the feedback from the community, was they said we want someone who can help with the PR and the brand optimization and things like that. And so if you're doing brand optimization, does it matter if you've done it previously just for for fashion? I mean, he's obviously done more than that, but does it really matter? Like the core principles are basically going to be the same regardless. So we think we're onto a winner here with him.
There's an article on Forbes about him, so I think, you know, there's obviously some kind of recognition, there's some kind of validation. So it's not like DigiByte team went out and found, you know, some totally off the wall PR firm. I mean, also we have to be realistic here, because we're not, you know, DigiByte's not going to get the same PR firm as Coca-Cola.
And I think he described it really well in one of the, so we did a bit of a Q&A at the end of the Reddit post, and so one of the things was, you know, why you? What's so cool about you? And he actually answered it in a really cool way. He basically said, you know what you're getting with me. You're not getting some manager at a PR firm to liaise with, who then pawns it off to some new up and comer who's trying to prove himself. You know, he basically says, you're getting me. You're working with me. You know that I have experience. You know that you can email me directly, like, to discuss things and to yeah, talk about things. It is him. You know exactly what you're getting, basically. There's no kind of middle management in between the person who's actually doing your stuff, and so it's I think it was really cool. He obviously worded it way better than I did, but
Not to toot my own horn or anything, but coming from the marketing world, or coming from that kind of that idea, it's sometimes it's good to have somebody with a different outlook, you know, because when you have everybody in DigiByte who's all, you know, tech, computers, tech, and then you have somebody from the outside world who can bring things that maybe, you know, nobody else is really seeing, like, hey guys, you know, yeah, everybody, all the nerds know about it, or all the technology people know about it, but how do we really grow DigiByte to a bigger market that isn't just the, you know, the people on Reddit? So I think it is good to have an outside view.
yeah, a fresh pair of eyes, a fresh perspective, and like you say as well, like, that's cool. Like, between you and me, obviously, I can talk about block timing and things and why that's important. And you'll go, yeah, block timing is important, 15 seconds. Wow, that's cool because it's super fast. But if I go talk about that with my mom, or, you know, like my grandma, her eyes are going to glaze over. She's going to be like, what are you on about? So to have somebody from, yeah, exactly like you say, from a different industry, and a potential outsider to come in and offer a fresh perspective, I think that's really cool.
I'm trying to learn more about DigiID. Maybe you can kind of break it down. How does DigiID work? Because I recently did a video on, I think it was called an ICO called Lolly, and Jared is actually an advisor on that, and they're going to be using DigiID, basically. I think I don't. It's kind of awkward to talk about because it says a sexual consent app, or process. So I don't know what's going on with that, but hey, whatever they got going on. But how does DigiID work in general?
First off, to clear the air there, he's basically been involved in a bit of a consulting manner, from what I understand. And so we see people going, why is he not spending all day working on DigiByte? Yeah, Jared's still heavily involved with DigiByte. Like, don't worry, he's not about to up and disappear and run off to a sexual consent app and leave DigiByte alone, kind of thing. Like, so we had people worried about that. I'm not even kidding. What's a really good way of explaining this? Have you ever been to the website haveibeenpwned.com? You should go there. Like, and so, like, it's same for you, for the people watching this as well. It's a really cool website. And so if you go to have I been pwned, PWNED, you can Google it, it'll come up. Or so if we look at this, there's Android forums for me, there's BTCE, there's Discuss, there's Kickstarter, XSplit, Zomato. So if we look at Kickstarter, for example, Kickstarter is a great example in this case. It says here, in February of 2014, Kickstarter announced they'd suffered a data breach. This breach contained 5.2 million unique email addresses, usernames, and passwords, basically. So whoever breached Kickstarter knows my email address, and they know my password that I used for Kickstarter. Now, I don't know about you, but up until very recently, I reused my password in a bunch of different sites. So if they had my password for Kickstarter, that was my password, say, for Skype. It's not now, but it was. And so that means that person could use my email address, and they could use my password, and they could log into Skype as me. Now, that's not too bad. They could potentially send a couple of, you know, spam messages to my friends. Whoopee. But what happens if that's also my email address, password to log into my Gmail, for example. Now we're talking like that's problematic, because if somebody can then log into your email, they can then go and reset your passwords to a million other, services that you're subscribed to, because they can log into your email address. They can click on the link that verifies it and goes, yeah, this is really me. So, I mean, same thing like if I used my password on Facebook that I had for Kickstarter, somebody could then log into my Facebook and be me. So, DigiID changes things. Now, if the reason that this was a problem with Kickstarter is because they've got my email address and my password. DigiID changes that, and so what happens instead is it uses the same sort of technology that you use for sending and receiving your funds, but it uses it for authentication and to verify your identity. So Kickstarter wouldn't ever have my password with DigiID, so they would have my public key. And so what this means is I can then basically sign a login request. So I go to Kickstarter and it says sign in with DigiID. So maybe I scan like a QR code or something along those lines. That logs me into Kickstarter, and I'm carrying on just like normal. Sort of similar to, you might have seen the login with Gmail or login with Facebook buttons all over the place. So this might be like login with DigiID. Now, let's say that, and I don't mean to pick on Kickstarter here, but let's say Kickstarter gets hacked again. It's not gonna, yeah. I'm sorry, Kickstarter. I'm not picking on you guys, but let's say they get hacked again.
Yep.
Now, what's going to happen with DigiID is they don't have my password. All they have is my public key. Now, this public key can basically be used. It's public, so the idea is it's able to be distributed. And so they can't actually then use this public key to sign me in anywhere else. They've got to have like my cell phone, for example, or my wallet on my computer to be able to sign and verify my login request. It's really difficult to try and like explain this in layman's terms, I suppose, but that's the general gist of it. Is that, let's say Kickstarter gets hacked and all that they have is my public DigiID details. It doesn't matter. Nobody can sign in with that. I'm still secure. I'm still able to keep signing in elsewhere. I can still sign in with my details to Facebook, to Gmail, and things like that. And so it means that if they were to be hacked, A, I don't have to worry about running around and resetting my password everywhere, but B, they don't get anything out of it, really. And there are also ways that you can then subsequently encrypt like your credit card details and things if you're on those, kind of websites and stuff, so that, again, they can't then steal my credit card details, which might have been saved on a particular website. So again, it's that extra layer of security, and especially where hackings are, they're semi-common. So, it happens. Shit happens, right? It's going to completely change that kind of thing, and make the authentication and the identification process so much more secure. So for me to be able to basically whip out my phone and hit login and confirm, I am this particular, I'm me, I'm trying to log in now to, the Kickstarter website, and there's not going to be any password to be hacked as such. And so it's a real mind shift, but what we're trying to do is make that as transparent as possible for the end users and things like that. And so this is where the DigiID stuff is coming into that Lolly app, and it's going to be built into the wallets and things eventually as well. And so if ever there was a time for developers, we'd love them to come along and help out with this. Do you like that segue? Just
part. Let's just talk about really quickly because there's so much stuff going on with DigiByte. Kind of what should I be looking for in the next, we'll say, 6 months? Just again, you can just tell us what's kind of what's kind of on the roadmap right now in terms of what's the big projects.
So exciting things coming out. Well, we're going to be doing the wallets are coming out real soon, and so I'm so pumped for that. Like, so at the moment we've got an Android wallet, but it takes ages to get that sorted out with the blockchain and things like that. And so in terms of it being user friendly, it was cool back in the day, But we've just recently hit our 6 millionth block. We're the longest blockchain, longest UTXO blockchain out there. Like we're pioneers in that kind of sense. I think Bitcoin's at like 100,000 blocks or something. Ethereum somewhere around about 5 million blocks. We've just hit our 6 millionth. We're basically the longest by a decent amount. And so these new wallets are basically going to speed up the way that people jump on board. And so you'll be able to fire up your wallet, and it'll take all of 10 seconds to sync and to catch up and to give you your balance and details and things like that. Sort of similar to like if you've got the Exodus wallet. So we've got those wallets coming out real soon for Android and for iOS. So excited for those, but we're also revamping the one for Mac, PC, and Linux as well. Exodus wallet's coming out, like I mentioned. We've got the algorithm swap coming up. So that's going to be really cool to further distribute the blockchain and to further allow GPU mining and things like that. So we're looking at a couple of different algorithms there. So if there's any miners out there who have feedback on things like, for example, Crypto or Equihash, jump into the tech support and the development channels and Telegram and have a bit of a chat with us. There's also some more stuff obviously coming with DigiID. It's going to be an action-packed year, especially with the PR agency and carrying on the things that we've been doing, obviously, with getting listed on a ton of exchanges. I think it was like 2 exchanges a week towards the end of 2017 for a while, so that was incredible. So we've basically got a lot of momentum behind us now, especially with the launch of the foundation and things like that. So yeah, 2018 is going to be an action-packed year for us.
I'm excited. I'm ready. I've already got my Lambo picked out. I've already.
What color is your one? What
yacht.
color is your one?
I was thinking about doing just like a DigiByte wrap. Maybe that like behind me, that crazy, like that would be pretty sick on like a Lambo driving around. People would be like, "What is that?"
We need to get like the Tai Lopez kind of look behind me and look at this beautiful Lambo and oh my gosh, no, let's not do that.
Well, in 2019, when we do this video again, I'm actually going to do it in my garage with my 2 Lambos behind me. But
yep.
Until then, we'll have to just have the. Well, you never know. It really depends. If we get on Coinbase, I might get 3 Lambos. But I think it really, the big thing I tell everybody out there is, find projects. There's other projects out there, like you said. There's always cool projects going on, but find projects that there's a good kind of story behind them. Make sure it's not total fraud. And then I think I would stay. My big thing is finding coins that proof of work. I really want to see coins that weren't pre-mined, coins that have a good team behind them. I'm really hoping to talk to Jared in the future. Not that you're not cool, but I think it'd be cool to talk to him. I think it's good to have somebody out there like Jared who's working on something, not just having, with Bitcoin, there's just nobody there. Not to hate against Bitcoin, but a lot of people want to know who Satoshi is. And we'll never find out. I think it's Charlie Lee. I'm just gonna throw it out there. There's a good chance that Charlie Lee is Satoshi Light, but we'll see.
Have your viewers check out, if you go to digibyte.io, and up the top there you've got blockchain, and so they can scroll right the way down, and we also talk about where does DigiByte fit into the blockchain industry, and so it's obviously got us front and center, like go figure. But we also talk about a lot of other coins and where they fit into it. You mentioned you're talking to your viewers. Find yourself a good proof of work coin. Find yourself something that's not pre-mined from the beginning of time, sort of thing. And so there's a really cool infographic that they can go there and basically see, and it shows DigiByte and how we fit into things, and it'll compare us alongside a few other things, like you say, Litecoin, as well as also a proof of work coin. So I'd encourage your viewers to go along and check that out. So that's digibyte.io, and then under blockchain.
Well, I want to thank you for spending it's your Tuesday, right? It's your morning time in New Zealand.
Yeah, Tuesday morning. So it's 11
Wow. So it's like, are you in the are you in the future? Yeah, you're in the future. Holy cow. So wait, what's the price of DigiByte right now in the future? Can you tell me?
Yeah. We're still waiting on Bitcoin to do its thing, and whatever.
That's a weird thing though, because think about it. Like if you're like, hey, DigiByte is 5 cents on February 6th. How does that work? Like, are you basing the price off of American time or your time?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work with you personally? How do you look at that?
Well, yeah, like so over here, obviously, it's really difficult because if you're looking at the value of something like that, um, it's in both satoshis, it's in US dollars, but then obviously the US dollar is like 1.4 times to New Zealand dollar and stuff, and so that gets really interesting too. Yeah.
Like I said, thanks a lot for coming on. Everybody who's watched this, I think they're happy to hear a little bit more about DigiByte. We're gonna do this again soon.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow.
Thanks
You never
for having
know.
us on the
Maybe.
show.
Thank you guys. Thank the DigiByte Foundation, and I'll talk to you guys later on. If you want to learn more about DigiByte, head on over to DigiByte.io. I've got a couple of videos on the channel as well. And if you're really, really bored, you want to watch more videos in the future, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll have Josiah back on here in the future.